small basement room with decent acoustics. Anyway, this is the Vegematic channel, but you already know that because you're already here. And if you're here at the Vegematic channel, it's because you've already watched the Vegematic channel, since no new people tend to watch it. Anyway, Trumpism has moved north. This really bites. And in my own hometown. Now, we're in the middle of an election campaign in Canada. And it's neck and neck between the Liberals and Justin Trudeau and the Conservatives with, I think his name's O'Toole, which is kind of appropriate for a Conservative. Now, they call themselves Tories. It's kind of a colonial throwback or something. I don't know. They certainly have cognitive difficulty. And when they run a country, it's horrible, so I can't go there. Anyway, Justin Trudeau, and I have many criticisms of Justin, but I would ask people to remember this is a man who finally legalized pot all across the country. And for that, hey, kudos, Justin. He's done a couple of good things, like during the pandemic, he made sure that nobody starved and that couldn't work, and got checks out to people promptly. So I don't hate him, and that's amazing for me, that any politician that's been in power for more than 4 years that I still don't hate. So anyway, this bunch of libertarian yahoos, they call themselves the Freedom Party. They don't like vaccines, and they don't like science, and they don't like government. So they show up at his campaign stop, and they've got all these signs saying, you know, don't force us to take a vaccine, and don't make us wear masks, and all this shit. And then they start throwing gravel at him. Yeah, gravel, the Prime Minister. Now, I thought in Canada we were slightly above that kind of behavior, but apparently not. It's moved up here. We don't want it. Most people don't want it. But it's moved here. I guess, you know, assholes just sort of creep north of the border. You get a stupid idea and it travels way faster than any intelligent human being that comes up with some non-brain dead idea. Yeah, if I'm sounding pissed, I'm pissed, because keep the damn Trumpism down south that's bad enough that half their people aren't vaccinated. It's time for America to get out of the empire game. This cannot sustain itself. What are there, 800 bases around the world still? And you think of the infrastructure plan that the Democrats are, some of the Democrats are hoping to get through. 3.5 billion, or no, trillion, I feel like Austin Powers, and $1 million, but $3.5 trillion, whereas the military is, now that's over 10 years, but the military over the next 10 years is going to cost Americans $7 billion. So the simple solution is to cut the military budget in half, but they're never going to do that, because manufacturing things to kill people and maim them and cause heartache and grief and terror will always be more profitable than going green. It's time to at least try and take a stab, a pathetic stab at containing global warming as much as the human race can, but it's not happening. And it's not happening now, and it needs to happen now. It's unbelievable with fires and floods all over the world that there's still argument about this. There's still some sort of debate. What debate? There's no debate. It's over if we don't do something. If the world collectively doesn't get off its ass, stop burning fossil fuels, and it's the oligarchs that run it. They run everything. They profit off of death. Death is the product that they promote, and they use sophisticated ad campaigns and lobbying and all kinds of stuff just so they can make their deadly wares. Well, how about if you redirected that money into solving the climate? I mean, all those trillions of dollars spent on death and destruction and pollution, and the military is the biggest polluter on the face of the earth, but they don't want to talk about that when they talk about their Green New Deals, because that's sacrosanct. America's got to be strong. Well, America's empire needs to end, and they need to focus. I mean, this is from a Canuck up here in Canuckistan, and from my point of view, I don't see why America needs to spend 10 times or whatever it is the next biggest army in the world spends, because at what point? At what point is enough enough? Nobody's attacking you anymore. 9/11, that's kind of, well, there's kind of different opinions about what happened there. And, it's gone from bad to worse. You've had the Patriot Act and militarization of the police. All that stuff, it's incremental. It's a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time, a little bit at a time. And by the end of it, you're in shackles. And you go, how the hell did we get here? So 20 years of blood and treasure, and what became of it? I remember at the beginning of these wars being so proud of seeing Michael Moore on the stage at the Oscar Awards, saying it was a fictitious president and we live in fictitious times. And yeah, I guess the last 20 years have been fictitious times. And now America has reached the point where there's no adherence to any truth in media, that there are these outlets that are blatantly promoting fascism, and nobody calls them out on their lies. There's no regulation. You can't trust the news media. The news media has failed. Certainly failed back then in the response to 9/11. 9/11, 20 years ago. I remember that day. Everybody remembers that day. I was a year into this house, and I was replacing a floor, and I had CNN on my television, and I watched it sort of with disbelief, like everybody else. Wow, I saw the second tower get hit. Those are sort of life-changing moments for everybody. Because before that, there was this sense in North America that we were an island, we were safe, and America was free to pursue adventures around the globe. I mean, let's face it, there's power there. And it wasn't like the Vietnam War. When I grew up, I was just a kid, but that Vietnam War raged until I was a teenager. And living in Canada, I was proud that our Canadian government at the time, Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre, would allow draft dodgers into the country, and they became Canadian citizens. And Nixon hated Justin's father, Pierre, and for that I'm eternally grateful. You know, having been near death a couple of times has made me wise beyond my years. Well, maybe I'm getting older so I can be like Gandalf or somebody. But what I wanted to say was, I'd done my rant, and now I'd like to thank all you for being here. And there's so many names that continually pop up in the comments and leave encouraging words, and I just wanted you to know that I appreciate it. And as always, I will not ask for your money in any way, shape, or form. I'm doing all right. I'm not rich and I'm not poor. I'm right where I want to be at the moment. But, you know, I remember coming out of the surgery and being kind of delirious and opening my eyes and seeing my wife looking at me. And it was the most beautiful thing that I'd ever seen in my life. She was not 64 or 5. She was young and beautiful and radiant. And I kept saying, "You're so beautiful. You're so beautiful." And I think that I saw her very essence that day. The beauty that lies within humans. The inexplicable love that binds us together. That's what matters. If you look back at your life, you're not going to care about how much money you had in the bank or any ego-driven stuff. The only thing you're going to ask yourself is, did I love enough? Did I do enough? And the answer will always be no. But we can make it so that, well, we can all do what we can. Anyway, I guess that's as maudlin as I'm going to get. And I will wish everybody a good week ahead. One free from fear, division, all that garbage that we're fed constantly. Let's concentrate on the beauty that surrounds us while we still can, as Hambone is fond of saying. But it's true. Let's appreciate every day. Let's appreciate the sunsets, the sunrise, the beauty that you see in the ones that you love. Anyway, I want to thank all of you for being there and for being good friends for so long. I'll catch you next time, because I just have a lot of time on my hands and nothing to do with it. So I guess Vegematic is back in action. Stay safe, everyone. Take care of each other. Be kind. All that old hippie stuff that I still believe in. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, all.